Discover how two brothers transformed their life with ADIDAS and PUMA, but at a heartwarming cost in the heart of a small Midwestern town. Two brothers, Marcus and James, laced up their battered sneakers, imagining a future where their dreams could soar like the eagles they watched on Saturday mornings. Their single mother worked tirelessly, juggling two jobs, her hands calloused and tired, but her spirit unbreakable. She carried the weight of their late father's dreams, the proud veteran whose dedication to family and country lingered in their hearts. Every step they took on that gravel road felt like stepping closer to a better life. Each mile run infused with hope. It was their mother's unwavering belief that sculpted their resolve. She often reminded them, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And so, with every sunrise, the brothers would hit the track, pushing boundaries, fueled by nothing but ambition and the scent of possibilities. The community rallied around them, their cheer echoing with encouragement, igniting a spark inside their determined hearts. Then, as if the universe unveiled a path, they caught the attention of a local sports shop owner who saw their potential. An endorsement deal with ADIDAS felt like a gift from the heavens. "Can you believe it?" James shouted, his eyes bright with disbelief, while Marcus beamed, the weight of their reality starting to feel lighter. This opportunity was their ticket, a way to chase their dreams into the light of more prosperous futures. But fate twisted the knife when James received an even more enticing offer from PUMA. This wasn't just a new set of shoes. It was an opportunity to stand in the spotlight, glittering with the promise of riches. For Marcus, that shimmering chance didn't feel like opportunity. It felt like betrayal. The air grew thick, charged with rivalry and unspoken resentment as the brothers trained separately, ambition slicing through their once unbreakable bond like winter chill through warm silk. It hurt to see the tension hovering like thunderclouds, especially when their community, once bursting with pride, stood back, whispering doubt. Could ambition tear apart the heart of brotherhood? The brothers found themselves at an emotional crossroads, struggling with gut-wrenching questions about loyalty and ambition. Each practiced stride brought them closer to personal victory, but farther from one another. In a moment of raw confrontation, surrounded by old photographs and the echo of their mother's dreams, they unearthed a hidden truth. Their father's sacrifices weren't about success, but the bonds of family that endure through the tests of life. As Marcus stared into James' eyes, raw emotion spilled over. "What defines success, James? The label on our shoes or the love that we've shared?" Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. There they stood, two brothers, wrestling with choices that could reforge their future or dissolve it into nothingness. Tension hovered, every word hanging in the air like a complex melody. They realized the power from their past had the potential to remind them of what truly mattered: each other, their family, and the love that stemmed from shared sacrifice. As the clock ticked down toward their fateful moment, they knew they had to confront the reality of their dreams and decide if ambition was worth sacrificing their bond. What price would they pay for their success? Would they emerge as champions? Or would the grip of rivalry suffocate the love that had traveled with them through their struggles? The choices loomed large, leaving them standing at the precipice of transformation, unsure of what lies ahead. The dawn of the big race crept over the horizon, casting a golden hue on the track where dreams would soon collide. Marcus and James stood at opposite ends, their hearts pounding like war drums. The air was thick with the scent of adrenaline and the faint rustle of nervous whispers from the crowd gathering around. They could feel the weight of anticipation bearing down on them as their fellow competitors warmed up. The brothers exchanged furtive glances. Each looked away quickly, memories of their shared childhood flooding back. Running side by side, laughter echoing through the air like melodies that made the world feel right. Yet today, the laughter was replaced by silence, and the bond they forged now felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. Minutes before the race, a local sports commentator approached them. "Boys, the excitement in town is palpable. The support you've received is tremendous. How are you feeling?" Marcus replied with a forced smile, "Ready to run." James nodded but added nothing more. The laughter had been replaced by a battle of pride. Each brother guarded their feelings behind walls that seemed insurmountable. As the referee's whistle blew, signaling the start, their feet pounded the track, each stride echoing with the rivalries that played out in their minds. The crowd erupted into cheers, but under the noise, Marcus's heart felt heavy with uncertainty. Every sprint felt like a push against James, a competition that threatened to drown years of brotherhood in bitterness. Halfway through, Marcus noticed James falter at the apex of a curve, a slight slip, a moment of hesitation. In that breathless second, everything came rushing back. Their mother's worn hands, the sacrifices she made to teach them resilience. It was easier to channel everything into ambition, to use it as a shield, but in that moment, he remembered they were meant to be a team, not rivals. Marcus felt a surge of empathy. He slowed, his feet still moving but not racing. He glanced back at James, who seemed to be battling unseen demons. In that instant he yelled, "James, remember why we started running?" The words spilled out before he could think. The crowd's roar dimmed, focusing on the two brothers. For a moment, time stopped. James heard his brother's voice break through layers of competition. Doubt floated away, replaced by the echoes of shared laughter and dreams. He acknowledged the bond that had been lost in ambition, the love overshadowed by the weight of their choices. With renewed energy fueled by camaraderie rather than competition, he pushed forward, closing the gap between them. The finish line loomed ahead, but the celebration was no longer about who crossed it first. Instead, it was about crossing together, reclaiming what mattered most. As they rounded the final turn, they instinctively fell into step, their strides sinking like they had done countless times before. The crowd roared once more, blinded by the exhilaration of seeing two brothers united again. The finish line blurred, and suddenly it wasn't about winning anymore. It was about redefining what success meant as they crossed together. Arms raised in triumph, joy flooded over Marcus and James, dissolving the rivalry into something beautiful. Cheers erupted from the crowd, not just for their run, but for the return of brotherhood. But just as they began to embrace the moment, a flash of confusion crossed James's face. "Marcus," he breathed, "what now? We need to decide what lay ahead." Would they grasp the chance to redefine their journey together, or would the lingering shadows of ambition still loom overhead? The questions hung heavily between them, suspense crackling in the air as they took their first steps into the unknown. The noise of the crowd began to fade, replaced by the rush of wind in their ears and the thundering of their own heartbeats. Both brothers stood still for a moment, arms still raised, basking in the glory of what they had just accomplished. Yet a shadow loomed over their elation. The uncertainty of their future pressed against them like an invisible weight. "Marcus, what now?" James asked again, his voice smaller this time, laced with vulnerability. Those words seemed to echo in the space between them, hanging just above the noise of cheers and applause. It was an invitation to confront the reality they had danced around for so long. "What now?" Marcus echoed, letting the question swirl in his thoughts. They stood at the edge of a chasm, staring into the unknown. Did they pursue individual dreams, or could they forge a new path together? The weight of ambition still clung to them, pulling in different directions. Before he could answer, a familiar face pushed through the crowd. It was their mother, her eyes glistening with pride and joy. She wrapped her arms around both boys, pulling them close. "I'm so proud of you both," she exclaimed, her voice thick with emotion. The tangible love she showered over them wrapped them in warmth, reminding them of the unbreakable bond that had once come so easily as they embraced. Marcus felt a rush of nostalgia. Memories flooded in school days filled with friendly banter, late-night talks under starry skies, dreams shared and chased together. But as he pulled back, he saw a flicker of worry on James's face, a clear reminder that while their brotherhood was rekindled, the embers of competition still glowed inside them. What are we going to tell everyone? James asked hesitantly, looking around at the congratulatory nods and smiles from their friends and rivals alike. They expect us to keep winning at all costs, you know? Marcus sighed, the gravity of James's words hitting him hard. He understood the pressure, the desire to be great both individually and together. But he didn't want to slip back into the old ways, pushing each other apart in pursuit of personal glory. Maybe we should just talk about it, Marcus suggested softly. Set some new goals together, something we can both be proud of. James considered this, his brow furrowed. Together? The word felt foreign yet promising. Like what? He asked, fear mingling with hope. Marcus took a step back and glanced at the cheering crowd, at their mother still glowing with pride. We could coach, help others train like we did, share what we've learned through this journey. His eyes sparkled at the thought, a vision of the future unfolding. James nodded slowly, his expression softening. You mean, instead of looking for the next medal, we help the next generation chase theirs? Marcus smiled, that spark igniting brighter between them. Exactly. Build something that lasts like what Mom did for us. Not just races more than pride. Inspiration. Encouraged by the idea, James's heart began to race again. This time fueled by excitement instead of competition. That could work, but can we really do it? What if we fall flat? With a deep breath, Marcus said, we might. But at least we'll fall together. The weight of uncertainty began to shift, but doubt still lingered, glimmering like a shadow. As the emotions settled, another realization dawned on James. Marcus, he said quietly, we have to tell the people who matter. We can't just leave them hanging. As Marcus took in his brother's serious tone, a new question loomed on the horizon, casting a shadow over their plans. What would their friends think? Would they support this change, or would they demand the siblings to continue in a race for gold? The challenge of reaching out to their circle hung before them, a formidable mountain still untouched. Together they had conquered a race, but could they conquer this new path? As they stepped forward, uncertainty taunted them, but deep down, hope flickered. Would this be the beginning of something greater or another race against time? The answers felt just out of reach, ready to be discovered. Marcus and James paused at the edge of the celebration, the cheers of their friends still ringing in their ears like an echoing anthem. They exchanged a glance heavy with questions. Could they really share this new vision with everyone? The thought made Marcus's stomach twist into knots. What if they laugh at us? James whispered, the fear creeping back. What if they see us as failures for not chasing medals anymore? They won if we believe in it, Marcus replied, trying to instill confidence into their wavering resolve. Let us tell Mom first. She always knows how to guide us. With a shared nod, they made their way through the thrumming crowd, their mother still glowing with pride. As they approached her, the warmth of her smile seemed to dispel some of their concerns. Mom, Marcus began, his voice steadying, we have something to talk about. Her eyes widened with curiosity. She could sense the shift between her boys, the weight of their momentous decision hovering in the air. What is it, sweethearts? She asked, the pride in her voice unwavering. James took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage within him. We think we want to coach, to help others instead of just racing for ourselves. A moment of silence fell. The noise of the crowd faded, replaced by the steady thump of their hearts. Then a smile spread across her face, one of pure joy. That's wonderful. You two would be amazing coaches. You have so much to share. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and for a moment, the brothers felt the fear lift, replaced by a glimmer of hope. Really? Marcus asked, astonishment breaking through. Absolutely. You've both been through so much. Just think of how many lives you could change. Feeling bolder, James added, but what if we fail? What if they don't take us seriously? People respond to passion, she reassured him, placing her hands on their shoulders. You can inspire them through your journey, your struggles, and your triumphs. The conversation flowed, each word from their mother nourishing their budding idea. They discussed the logistics, the potential challenges, and even the thrilling possibility of having their own team. For the first time, Excitement rejuvenated the air around them. But as the day drew to a close, and they stepped into the cool evening breeze, the reality of their choice slowly wrapped its tendrils around Marcus's heart again. They needed to break the news to their friends. The thought made him uneasy. What if they don't understand? Marcus's voice cracked, revealing the insecurities he still carried. They might not at first, but if they matter to us, they'll want us to be happy, James replied, determination lighting in his eyes. Wouldn't we want the same for them? Marcus nodded slowly, the truth of his brother's words settling deep. They weren't just racing toward a finish line anymore. They were building a legacy. Yet uncertainty lingered, gnawing at him. Just then, a group of their friends approached. Laughter and cheers erupted again as they celebrated the brothers' victory, oblivious to the turmoil brewing within. Marcus felt the weight of expectation press back down as the group surrounded them. Hey, what's next, you guys? Another race for gold? One of their friends teased, a grill wrapped in foil held aloft, laughter rippling around them. Marcus glanced at James, a deep-seated fear shimmering in his chest. Was this the moment to share their dream, or cling to the familiar comfort of victory? And as the laughter continued, an unexpected realization dawned on Marcus. Their triumph wasn't just about medals. It was about growing into something more than himself, and telling the world would be the first step. Breath catching in his throat, he opened his mouth to speak, but could only whisper, "What if we told them the truth?" The excitement of what could come next clashed with a wave of fear. Would he have the courage to face their friends? As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows, the path ahead stretched uncertain and challenging, but the possibility felt electric. And, as always, they stood on the precipice of change, wondering if it would ultimately define them or pull them apart. The moment to choose was upon them. Would they face it together? Marcus's heart raced as the laughter grew louder. The energy of their friends seemed to pull him back into the comfort of celebration. Yet the weight of their shared secret lingered like an uninvited guest. He stole a glance at James, who stood beside him, equally caught between two worlds. "Maybe it's not the right time," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the cheers. The thought of bearing their ambitions felt too heavy amidst the euphoric atmosphere of their victory. James shook his head. "No, this is exactly the moment. They're our friends. They'll understand. They want us to be happy, just like we want for them." The sincerity in James's voice made Marcus falter. Did they truly have the courage to step into the unknown? Did he want to risk the laughter of those he valued most? But deep down, he knew they couldn't keep hiding behind their medals forever. They needed to make a choice to stay rooted in the past or to embrace the future they envisioned. "I guess it would be better to share than to pretend." "Huh?" Marcus said, swallowing hard. "Exactly." James smiled knowingly, and in that instant, the brothers shared a silent agreement, fortified by their shared dreams. As the group continued to celebrate, Marcus stepped forward, seizing the moment. "Hey, everyone." His voice cut through the cacophony, drawing attention. The laughter quieted, and curious eyes turned toward the brothers. We have something to say," Marcus started, feeling the weight of every gaze upon him. The knot in his stomach tightened, but he pushed through. James chimed in, "We're not just the racers, hoping to chase medals and trophies anymore. We want to help others like us. We want to be coaches." Silence fell. The world around them paused, and Marcus's heart beat in his ears. The friends exchanged glances, eyebrows raised in surprise. Would they understand? Finally, one of their closest friends, Alex, broke the hush. "Coaches? Like really? That's cool. But why would you want to do that instead of racing?" Marcus glanced at James, who nodded, encouraging him to explain. "We've learned a lot from our time in racing, what it takes to overcome challenges, to push through pain. We think that experience could help others succeed. More than just medals ever could." A moment of processing followed before someone clapped, and then a ripple of applause broke out among their friends. Relief washed over Marcus. The initial shock melted into smiles and supportive cheers. "That's awesome," another friend shouted, raising her drink. "I can see you guys doing that." As laughter and applause filled the air, Marcus felt a tide of warmth flooding his chest. This was acceptance, understanding, and it felt better than any medal he'd ever won. In sharing their dream, they found unexpected support, a newfound strength rising within them. But as the excitement built, a familiar thought crept back into Marcus's mind. This was just the beginning. They would need to face challenges ahead. What if they encountered setbacks? What if they weren't as good at coaching as they hoped? The questions loomed like shadows on the horizon. Could they really step into this new identity and carve a path that was meant for them? The laughter faded as Marcus pondered the reality that lay in front of them as the night wore on. The air thick with camaraderie. He realized their journey had only just begun. They could galvanize the same drive they once had in racing to inspire those around them, but would they be able to confront failures? With the celebration ending and the world still buzzing in their ears, the brothers exchanged a knowing gaze. They had stepped forward together, but the path ahead was veiled in uncertainty. What would the future hold for them as coaches? And would they find the courage to navigate the storm of doubts that loomed just beyond the horizon? The days that followed the celebration felt electric but also unsettling. Each morning for Marcus and James began with a tangle of excitement and anxiety. They couldn't shake the nagging feeling that they stood on the edge of a great unknown. One afternoon, they decided to meet at their favorite diner, a cozy spot filled with the scent of frying bacon and freshly brewed coffee. As they slid into a booth, Marcus absently fiddled with a sugar packet, staring at the sugar crystals as if they held the answers to their future. "Do you think we're ready for this?" he asked, breaking the comfortable silence between them. James leaned back, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "What do you mean?" "I mean, coaching is different. It's not just about us anymore. It's about others, their dreams, their battles. What if we can't help them?" Marcus's voice trembled slightly, the weight of his words heavy in the air. James drummed his fingers on the table, mulling it over. "I get it. We're stepping into something new. But think about all those kids we could inspire. We can share everything we've learned. Those medals? They were just the beginning." Marcus sighed, feeling the simmering heat of hope and fear battling within him. "But what if we fail? What if we say the wrong thing at the wrong time? Then we learn from it." James shot back, his eyes lighting up. "Falling is part of the game. Remember the races. We didn't always win, but those moments made us better." The server arrived, bringing their meals, breaking their intense moment. The aroma of burgers and fries filled the space, momentarily distracting Marcus. It reminded him of all those times they had celebrated victories together, fueling his ambition as much as the food. "Okay, you're right," Marcus admitted, finally allowing a smile to break through. "We'll take it one step at a time. Start small. Build up to the big stuff." As they ate, plans began to take shape. They'd start by volunteering at a local community center, offering mentoring sessions to kids interested in racing. They could use their experiences to help others navigate the journey they once endured. Yet, as days turned into weeks, the excitement quickly shadowed their enthusiasm. Their first session came with hurdles they hadn't anticipated. Show up late? Check. Forget the supplies? Check. Most importantly, their confidence wavered as they faced the bright-eyed kids who looked up to them, expecting to see both heroes and mentors in the duo they idolized. "Okay, so what do we even say?" Marcus whispered, panic creeping into his mind like cold fingers. James shared his own unease but kept his expression steady. "We just tell them our story. Be real. They won't care about the medals. They care about honesty." When they finally stood before the group, the overwhelming gaze of eager faces sent shivers down Marcus's spine. They shared their experiences, their dreams, their stumbles. But every word felt like a leap into the dark, each childish blank stare a reminder of how far they still had to go. With each passing session, their confidence grew, yet so did their doubts. Were they connecting? Were they good enough? As they left the center one evening, the echoes of laughter and chatter still ringing in their ears, Marcus turned to James. "What if we're not ready? What if we disappoint them?" James paused, the streetlights casting a warm glow on their faces. Then we keep trying, Marcus. We'll figure it out together. It won't be easy, but we owe it to them. And to ourselves. His words echoed in Marcus's mind long after they parted ways that night. The urgency of stepping into their new roles weighed heavily, but the flame of determination flickered brightly within him. Could they truly become the mentors they dreamed of being? What challenges were waiting just around the corner? And could they face them united in their journey? As the night closed in, uncertainty wrapped around them like a thick fog, but within it lay a sense of purpose that hung brightly ahead. Tomorrow might be the day that changed everything, or perhaps the day they fell short again. Only time would tell. The following morning, the sun peeked through Marcus's window, casting a warm glow in the small room. He lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, wrestling with thoughts of doubt and determination. The community center loomed large in his mind, as if it had become an obstacle course he had yet to navigate. He finally rolled out of bed and slapped on a pair of well-worn sneakers, reminding himself that today was another chance. That as he drove, the familiar streets became a blur. The constant urge to turn back flickered in his mind, but he pushed through, arriving at the center just in time. James was already there, pacing nervously, his hands running through his hair. "Hey," Marcus called out, trying to inject some energy into the moment. "You ready for this?" James turned, a smile breaking through his tension. "I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Remember, just be ourselves. We owe the kids honesty." Together, they entered the expansive gym, the sound of bouncing balls and laughter filling the air. They stood side by side near the entrance, scanning the room filled with kids racing, shouting, and tumbling over each other as excitement. It was a chaotic buzz, but to Marcus it felt like pure, raw potential. They set up a small station in the corner, adorned with some worn-out racing posters and a few of their medals, a soft reminder of victories and hard-won lessons. As the children gathered, eyes wide and curious, Marcus felt his stomach twist into knots. They were expecting two heroes, but what if they only saw two ordinary guys? James nudged him, snapping him back. "They don't want heroes. They want real. Show them we can relate." Finally, they launched into their session. They spoke about their experiences and the fears they faced, sharing tales of struggle and triumph. Laughter erupted when they recounted their disastrous first races, each story drawing the kids closer, their eyes sparkling with connection. Marcus noticed a girl, maybe 10 years old, staring at him with disbelief. "You really messed up?" she asked incredulously. "Absolutely," he chuckled. "And it's how I learned. The wrong turns taught me more than the wins ever could." As they moved through their activities, an unexpected bond formed. The kids began to open up about their dreams and the challenges they faced, fears of being left out, worries about fitting in. It was raw honesty, and it resonated. Towards the end of the day, as the kids gathered around to share what they had learned, Marcus was struck by how vibrant and alive this moment felt. The warmth of connection filled the air, and for a moment, all his doubts faded. James leaned in, excitement lighting up his face. "See? We can bridge that gap. We're not just coaches, we're friends." But just then, a boy at the back raised his hand and asked, "What happens if you mess up again?" That question hung heavily in the air, momentarily silencing the joy. It echoed deep within Marcus, and he felt the weight of truth settle over him like an anchor. James exchanged a glance with him, both understanding that their journey was far from over. "You mess up," Marcus replied carefully, his voice steady. "But you keep going. You learn, you adapt. That's the essence of it all, and that's how we grow." As they wound down, the kids left with smiles, and excitement buzzed in the gym. Marcus and James stood amidst the scattered equipment, fatigue settling into their bones. "I think we did something good today," James said, his smile genuine. "Yeah," Marcus agreed, still feeling the flutter of anxiety. But as they headed out, a voice called from behind. It was the girl who had questioned him earlier. "Are you coming back tomorrow?" she asked, hope sparkling in her eyes. Marcus felt his heart leap. "Absolutely. We're just getting started." It hit him then, the challenge of tomorrow whispered through the day's success. They had ignited a spark in those kids, but would they be able to keep that fire burning? As they left the center, Marcus realized today was merely a step, and the steps ahead might be even tougher. He glanced at James, who was already mapping their path forward. Would their budding connection withstand the trials that lay ahead, or would they crash under the weight of expectations? Tomorrow felt like a challenge that could shift everything once again. The next day dawned bright and clear, but Marcus's stomach twisted with nerves. He pulled into the parking lot of the community center, his doubts creeping back in with a vengeance. Would the kids even remember the fun they had? Or would they expect them to have elevated their performance somehow overnight? Marcus stepped inside, and the familiar chaos of laughter and running feet filled the air once more. This time, however, there was an added layer of excitement that felt different. It was electric. He saw the same girl from yesterday, her eyes gleaming with anticipation as she bounced on her toes. "Marcus, you came back," she shouted, her voice slicing through the noise. His heart swelled with warmth. "Of course. Did you think we'd leave you hanging?" James joined them, holding more supplies than the day before. "Guess who brought extra gear?" he said, displaying a few new basketballs and colorful cones for the activities. The kids cheered, running toward James, and Marcus couldn't help but feel a thrill at the sight. They were in this together, and it felt right. As the day progressed, they introduced new games, pushing the kids just a little bit more. They cheered as young athletes sprinted across the makeshift track, laughter erupting when a few stumbled mid-race. It wasn't just about the finish line. It was about the joy of trying. But as they encouraged the kids, the question from the previous day nagged at Marcus. Could he teach them to embrace failure as much as victory? Could he truly make it okay to mess up? During a brief break, a particularly shy boy approached Marcus, tugging on his shirt hesitantly. "Marcus, do you really mean it? About messing up being okay?" Marcus kneeled down to meet the boy's gaze. "I do. Every great athlete has fallen. It's like learning to ride a bike. You'll waver, you might fall off, but that's part of the ride." The boy frowned, still uncertain. "But what if everyone laughs at me?" A pang of empathy hit Marcus. "Then you find out who's really your friend." He smiled softly. "The best friends will be the ones cheering the loudest, even when you fall." The boy's eyes brightened a bit, the flicker of hope lighting up his face. "Okay, I'll try." The day moved on with even more energy than the first. Marcus felt something shift within him. With each success, every child's laughter echoed in his heart, solidifying his belief that they were doing something important. At the end of the session, kids gathered once more, their faces flushed with excitement. Marcus felt a sense of pride rise in him. "All right, who can tell me what we learned today?" One girl shot her hand up. "That it's okay to mess up and keep trying." A cheer erupted amongst the others, and Marcus felt tears pricking his eyes. Even though he had started this journey to help the kids, they were helping him just as much. As they wrapped up, James looked over at Marcus, a knowing grin spreading across his face. "You see, we're building something bigger here." Before they'd even left the gym, the girl from yesterday spoke again. "Will you come back tomorrow? I want to learn more." Marcus felt the weight of the question settle in. "Absolutely. We're just getting started." Walking out of the center, he felt lighter. Each step forward brought hope not just for the kids, but for himself too. But as they approached the exit, a sudden silence spread like a wave through the group. A tall figure stood at the doorway, their community center director, with a serious expression etched across their face. "We need to talk." Marcus exchanged a glance with James, apprehension swirling inside him. What could this mean? Was this success too good to last? Tomorrow, their journey into the unknown would continue. Would their impact be recognized and supported? Or would they face yet another hurdle that could bring all their efforts crashing down? The tension hung in the air as the community center director, Ms. Reynolds, stepped forward with a furrowed brow. The laughter and excitement that had filled the space just moments earlier faded, replaced by an unsettling quiet. Marcus felt his heart race, a sinking feeling lodging in his chest. "Marcus, James," she began, her voice firm yet carrying a hint of warmth. "I've seen the energy you both have brought to these kids. It's impressive." Marcus couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. "But?" he asked, dreading what might follow. Ms. Reynolds took a deep breath. We need to discuss the structure of our after-school programs. Their essay chance will have to cut funds due to budget issues. Marcus felt the weight of her words. His mind raced. But these kids, they started to flourish. They need this. We all need this. I know, and that's why I'm here, Ms. Reynolds said, her voice softening. But changes are coming. If we don't find ways to secure funding, we could lose this program altogether. James stepped up, concern evident in his eyes. What if we organize a fundraising event? We could showcase what we've achieved with the kids so far. Ms. Reynolds interrupted. That essay, wonderful idea. But we'll need to mobilize the community. It won't be easy, and we'll have to move quickly. The thought of holding a fundraiser excited Marcus, but the enormity of the challenge began to dawn on him. It would be hard work. They'd have to convince parents, local businesses, and maybe even old friends to get involved. Could they do it? The idea felt like a mountain to climb. Let us do it, Marcus said, a surge of determination pushing aside the doubt. We can't let this slip away. We owe it to the kids. With a nudge of encouragement from James, the two left the director's office feeling a mixture of anxiety and adrenaline. They needed a plan, and the clock was ticking. Over the next few days, they hit the ground running, gathering ideas and mapping out what their fundraiser could look like. They brainstormed activities: a fun run, a bake sale, maybe even a mini sports day, anything that could bring people in and show off the kids' hard work. Each idea brought with it a flicker of hope, igniting their motivation. They set up meetings with local businesses and community leaders, determined to paint a picture of what their program had the potential to become. The kids, buzzing with excitement, started to design flyers and practice their pitches. Each child wanted to help. It was heartening to see their enthusiasm explode. But as the days turned into a blur of activity, Marcus couldn't help but feel the pressure mounting. What if they failed? What if it wasn't enough? Those nagging questions circled in the back of his mind even as he encouraged the kids. Each time he saw their bright smiles, a tether of hope pulled him forward. The day of the fundraiser arrived with a mix of jitters and exhilaration. The community center transformed into a bustling hub of activity. Marcus and James greeted local families while the children showcased their talents, running races and demonstrating skills they had honed together. As excitement swirled, a familiar face appeared among the crowd, someone Marcus hadn't seen in years. Standing near the entrance, the last glimmers of sunlight gleaming off her hair, was his sister, Claire. A shock of recognition rushed through him. Why was she here now? A mix of emotions ripped through him. He had hoped for her support, but also feared her judgment. Could this be a much-needed reunion or the beginning of old wounds reopening? As Claire stepped closer, Marcus felt the culmination of his hopes and fears crashing down. Would she embrace the moment, or would it break him further? He could only wait, holding his breath as he watched her approach. As Claire drew nearer, the air around Marcus crackled with uncertainty. Memories of their childhood echoed in the back of his mind, laughter that had faded into silence when she left for bigger dreams in the city. The joy of their reunion brought a knot to his throat, but it was laced with apprehension. He forced a smile, unsure of how to bridge the years of distance that separated them. Marcus, she said softly, her eyes scanning the bustling activity around them. What's all this? A fundraiser, he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. We're trying to save the program for the kids. He gestured toward the crowd of young athletes, excitement radiating as they showcased their skills under the sun that felt warm and inviting. Claire's eyes lit up, a flicker of pride shining through. I'm impressed, she said, her voice holding a note of sincerity. You've built something special here. As Claire's warm gaze fell on the kids laughing and cheering, giving their all on the field, Marcus's heart swelled. She had always believed in him, but life had taken them down different paths. Now, as they stood together, he felt a spark of hope ignite between them, a shared understanding that this moment mattered. We're trying to motivate them, inspire them, just like you used to do for us, he admitted, his voice cracking. I hope it's enough. Claire stepped closer, her presence almost a balm against his worries. You're doing the right thing, Marcus. This is important work. There was encouragement in her tone, something Marcus desperately needed to hear. Before he could respond, the crowd erupted into cheers as a local news crew arrived to cover the event. The tension melted away, replaced with the vibrant energy of hope. But that familiar doubt crept back into Marcus's mind. Would it really work? Showtime? James grinned, his excitement palpable as they prepared to introduce the event to the audience. Together, they stepped to the front, the boisterous crowd quieting down with time. The kids cheered, their delight contagious, and for a moment, Marcus felt lifted by their collective spirit. Thank you all for being here today. We're on a mission, James said into the microphone, his voice tense yet unwavering, to ensure these kids have every opportunity to chase their dreams. As the speech unfolded, Marcus caught sight of Claire in the crowd, nodding in approval. It was enough to push him forward, steady and determined. After their introduction, the events began one by one, laughter spilling into the cool evening air as the neighborhood came alive. The races were a hit, the kids sprinting with all their might, their exuberance endless. James grabbed Marcus's arm, pointing toward the sidelines. Look, Marcus turned to see parents cheering wildly, and kids rallying behind their friends. It was overwhelming. Complete strangers were united in purpose, cheering not for trophies but for growth and connection. There, amid the joyful chaos, Marcus felt an undeniable truth settle deep in his heart. This was about more than just raising money. It was about igniting a community. The day rolled on, filled with games, laughter, and endless support. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the time for announcing the amount raised arrived. Marcus's heart thudded loudly as Ms. Reynolds took the stage. Today we aim to inspire hope, and you've delivered. With your generosity, we raised enough funds to keep this program alive for another year. Cheers erupted, spanning the crowd like a tidal wave of joy. The realization hit him like a shot of adrenaline. They had succeeded together, overcoming odds that had once seemed insurmountable. As he locked eyes with James, Marcus felt the weight of past rivalry lift from their shoulders. The fear that had haunted them, a fear of judgment and failure, faded into something bright and beautiful. He spotted Claire clapping, her face beaming with pride. She had witnessed their journey, and it felt glorious to share that success with her. We did it, he exclaimed, the exhilaration spilling out in laughter. James nodded excitedly. And we can keep doing it. We'll help even more kids. With renewed purpose, they basked in the joy of their shared achievement. They stood as a team, brothers united not by competition but by passion. But just when the euphoria seemed to peak, the crowd parted, revealing unexpected faces at the forefront, some familiar and some new. Hey now, are we missing out on the celebration? Their mother asked, flanked by old friends and family, sharing in the moment as if they had never been apart. Tears brimmed in Marcus's eyes as he looked at the support surrounding him. This was what they had always needed, a community to rally behind them, to lift them when doubts crept in. As he soaked in the warmth of that collective love, he knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new chapter, one that intertwined their family bond with their determination to help others chase their dreams. What are we going to do next? Marcus turned to James, a grin spreading across his face. James chuckled, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Keep building. Let us expand the program, reach more kids, and teach them that winning isn't everything. The two brothers exchanged a triumphant smile, knowing they had faced the storms together, wiser now, not just as competitors but as allies. And as shadows danced across the ground, making way for the twilight, they felt something powerful stirring, an everlasting resolve to uplift their community, one encouraging word at a time. In that moment, Marcus realized they would forge ahead, hand in hand, carrying both their past and hopes into a brighter future. This was it, the moment they had truly transformed not just their lives but the lives of everyone around them. Now was the time to embrace the change, to inspire hope in others, showing that brotherhood and community were the real victories in life. If you felt the power of this story, don't wait one single second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. And if this ending moved you, leave a like now. It's how you help fuel the algorithm and keep the magic alive. We want to hear from you. Comment below what you thought about the ending, what feelings it stirred in you, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support.